Hello, so I kind of did some stuff off screen. I just kind of started messing with the alphas I have and leveling them up and stuff to make my living dex as much of an alpha living dex as I can. My living shiny dex is on home, and that's all. I also went through and did one off screen for the. That's how easy the Brass Calibite was gotten. It helps when you get a game where literally you're going up against someone who is completely relying on Lucario, Mega Lucario, that cannot take a hit. Yes, it was dealing damage, but it could not take a hit. The one guy with the Charizard or me with anything was dealing enough damage each time. Just kind of waiting for it to turn night here to flip over everything. To reroll our stuff, our portals, whatever you want to call them. Now, I could have just gone to a bench, but where's the fun in that? Like Alpha Pichu? No, it's not. I do need another alpha male Magikarp and an alpha female Magikarp. Okay, let's look at what we have. Okay, Torchic. Will only be interested in alphas, probably there. We need the Alolan Meowth. Nothing really there. Only really be going. First and foremost, we'll go after this one. Why? Because Torchic, that's why. Okay, capture 5, catch one of each species and destroy each. There's the Torchic, but we still have one more spot. Okay, now we're on a golden ball hunt. Yeah, just the one set of spawns for torture. Okay. Yeah, I don't think Torchic's gonna spawn back in fast enough for us to.
Hey, where are you? I'm on my way.
The bespoke AI Family Hub Plus refrigerator with AI vision inside. Even smarter with smart things.
Hey everybody, Teching 101 here, coming to you from a brand new location. I am not at my house. I'm not where I normally film, nor is this a green screen, although I guess you can't tell. Green screen technology is getting really good these days, but now I can touch this ball. See? I can touch this key. Yes, I'm at a different location right now. I've been traveling a lot this year, you know. I went to Japan back in April. I went to LA in August. I went to October I went to Vegas in October. Teching 101 goes to Oktoberfest. I don't drink, so I'd be the last person you'd expect to go there, but hey, maybe there's other stuff to do at Oktoberfest. I don't know. I'd like to visit Germany. It'd be a fun country to visit. Anyway, no, today I am broadcasting to you directly from the beautiful tropical paradise that is Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, I'm from Pennsylvania, so I just kind of went one state over. So yeah, I'm currently in Cleveland. It's very snowy, very windy, very cold. It's like freezing rain right now. There's a window right here. I'm looking out, and I just see a view of barren trees and a stark gray overcast sky. So yeah, that's what's going on in Cleveland right now. It's not much different from a lot of places in Pennsylvania, but it's a nice city. It's a beautiful city, the little I've seen of it. But yeah, anyway, that's where I'm at currently. All right, so getting down to business. Elbaf business. Today, we're going to be talking about One Piece, chapter 1169. 69. I remember back when the number 69 was the one that everybody used to giggle at. The chapter title is I Have to Die Now. Oh, wow, that's really intense, Oda. You're really going all in with the chapter titles on this one. Okay, wow, shit.
God, I'm
All
messing
right,
up bad
we actually
again.
kick things off with an epic color spread. This is a really cool one. It is the Rocks Pirates in black suits, basically posing for an album cover. They came out of nowhere. They did one EP and then they disappeared. The Rocks Pirates. So let's see who all we got here. We got Rocks in the center, petting a tiger. Oh man, the series would have been way cooler. I mean, Rocks was already a cool character. He would have been about 10 times cooler if he had a pet tiger he was carrying around. That would be sweet. We see his official color scheme. We saw that earlier in the cover of Shonen Jump. Rocks has white hair with blue, kind of almost lavender highlights, and his beard is also like a lavender purple color, okay? And so we see him there. Next to him is Captain John, just counting some money. Then we see Edward Newgate, Whitebeard. Stussy, Buckingham Stussy, is like hanging out on top. This Whitebeard's huge, so Stussy's kind of like sitting like right here on like his arms and just kind of like holding his chin. Like, okay. We see Gonzui, my man Gonzui. He's gonna be the pirate that's gonna save the world. He's a zombie now, but he's gonna come back to life somehow and save the world. He's eating a bunch of grapes, and we see his official color scheme. Gonzui has red hair. He has a long red beard and a red, like, top knot, okay? Then we have Shiki, the golden lion, floating around behind everybody. So he does have the float powers. That's 100% canon now. We see Kaido in his younger years. He just has the Kanabo. He's the one that's like posing for an album cover, I think, the most out of everybody. He has the Kanabo, and he's just like staring off to the other direction, not even looking forward. We see Wang! No. We see Wang. We see Ochoku. Ochoku's hanging out. He's holding a bottle of liquor in one hand, and he's giving everybody else the middle finger in the other one. Yeah, screw you too, Ochoku. I believed in you, man! He has green hair, by the way, in case you're ever curious on Ochoku's, color scheme. He has slicked back green hair. All right. Next to him, we have Don Marlin, which I'm gonna place a bet. Gambling's legal in Cleveland, right? They legalize gambling here. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna place a bet this might be the last time we see Don Marlin in the entire story, because he died during the flashback, and he doesn't seem to have left an indelible imprint on anybody in the One Piece world. The only other time I could maybe see Don Marlin is if we ever get a flashback from Beiji. You know, maybe we get that Beiji flashback at some point, and Don Marlin plays a critical role in that or something. Mentioning him doesn't count. We'll place bets on this being the last time we see the dude, okay? He has, like, not green, what is that, teal? He has teal-colored hair, which, okay. He's there smoking a big cigar, has this big, esoteric shotgun that he's wielding. And then we have Big Mom, Charlotte Linlin. She's just eating a cake. She's just there, munching on cake. We have Barbell in the background. Big dude, Barbell. Even bigger than Gonzui and Whitebeard, honestly. He's a huge guy with that fiery yellow, like...
Where? It's that one, isn't it? No? Second Patrat, though, that makes the whole line shiny for me. Now back to our schedulely attempted thing to do.
Super Saiyan hair. Barbell dies as well. Barbell didn't do much, did he? I think he only had like a couple lines of dialogue in the flashback. We see Silver Axe there, Kyo, just with his, you know, eponymous Silver Axe. He just has that thing. Stroizen is there. He's put on some pounds. He has a gun. And we see Gloriosa. Gloriosa, almost disappointingly, canonically has blonde hair. I guess it's just because Elder Neon right now has like silver hair, like white hair. I assume she also had white hair when she was younger. And I think somebody described her as having like her beauty as like an icy gem. So I guess I always assumed she just had white hair. But no, she was blonde in her younger years. And we also see her snake. Her every creature has like a snake companion. And we don't know the name of hers, but yeah, the snake is there as well. So there you go. There's all the members of the Rocks Pirates. Actually, not all of the members, because we don't see Gil. We don't see Gil Bastar anywhere. I'm a little disappointed in that. You put Wang in there, but you don't put Gil. But it's a pretty sick cover page. I mean, I could see this getting framed and getting it put on my wall. Like, that is pretty neat. All right, so we are kicking things off in Elbaf at Gabon's house 14 years ago. So this is continuing the flashback that we started with way back in Chapter 1152. Do you remember Chapter 1152? I'm going to actually ask you to pause this video right now if you don't remember and go read Chapter 1152. I'm being dead serious. It'll come up for a lot of things. I'm going to be referencing it a lot in this chapter. You might as well just go back and reread it right now. I'll wait.
We'll leave them alone.
It's the Buffalo Wild Wings Pick 6 meal.
Whoa! It's the perfect meal for two! Ooh, I'm so excited. What else did I get?
That's it.
This was only $19.99.
It's not about what you spend.
Give me that back.
Pick 6 meal for two for $19.99.
All right, you back? Okay, cool. All right, so Shanks is visiting Gabon here. Shanks apparently just left the Holy Land and is visiting Gabon and reminiscing about old times. They were in the bath together and then they got out and they continued their conversation. Ripley is there. Colin is also there. They're enjoying a lingonberry tart because that's Ripley's favorite food. And so, Gabon apparently just tells Shanks out of the blue, oh, hey, by the way, Roger had a son apparently. Yeah, Garp told me all about him last time I met him. Well, okay, Garp didn't tell me all about him. I guess the way here is just like, oh yeah, Roger has a son. Seems like it. That's what Garp told me about, you know? Okay. So I don't think Garp would have went into full detail on like the entire story involving Rouge and Ace and where Ace is currently right now in the Goa Kingdom being raised by Gadan. I don't think Garp would have went into all of that information, but at some point Garp runs across Gabon, who is retired at this point, and basically tells him, like, oh yeah, Roger had a kid. Now, this is a big deal for, like, a number of different reasons, okay? So, but it does set up something interesting for Shanks on why Shanks showed up at Marineford. That actually does tie into that. That's pretty cool. But up until now, we were led to believe that Rayleigh and Gabon and all the other members of the Roger crew had no idea that Roger had a son and the son was Ace. I was actually going to do a video about this, and I'm kind of, like, I might still do that video, but, like, it's going to be different now because of this information. I was basically going to bring up that, like, yeah, sure, the crew is split up, but, yeah, I mean, come on now, you know, like, Rayleigh has to be reading the newspaper every now and then. He sees there's this up-and-coming pirate called Portgas D. Ace, and he looks like Roger, kind of, and he's about the right age that, you know, he would be Roger's son, and he has the will of D, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe it would have been worth looking into, but no, at least Gabon knew, and Gabon told Shanks, and I think, like, this is probably after Shanks ran into, no? I think Shanks ran into
At least got that elf
Rayleigh. Yeah, after he met Luffy, Shanks meets Luffy, loses his arm, eventually ends up at Sabaody to talk to Rayleigh. So Shanks might have also told Rayleigh about Ace. Maybe he didn't, not really sure. But at any rate, Gabon says, like, oh yeah, Roger's son has done a good job of keeping out of the Navy's watchful eye up until now. So Ace was 20 when he died at Marineford. He would have been 22 right now. This flashback is 14 years ago. So Ace would be 8 right now, and Luffy would be 5. There's 3 years of difference between them. Sabo is the same age as Ace, I believe, so he would also be 8 years old. And so they're just living at the Goa Kingdom at the moment. In fact, Luffy right now is like probably undergoing the training of Garp, like being thrown into jungles and tied to balloons into the stratosphere and all the crazy shit that Garp did to train Luffy to be a strong Marine. But anyway, yeah, Shanks is very surprised by this, and he says that, oh yeah, I basically have a little brother, and I didn't even consider this, but yeah, because Shanks and Buggy, as Gabon says here, were like the sons of Roger and Rayleigh and Gabon and the whole Roger crew. So if Roger has a biological son, by extension, yes, Shanks would be like an older brother to Ace. But since Ace is also the big brother of Luffy, like Sabo and Ace and Luffy are all brothers as well, does that mean through like connective transitive property, that means Shanks is Luffy's big brother too? I mean, Elbaf! Okay, yeah, probably. Let's go with that.
It would have been
This lines
quicker to
up
go
with
through.
why Shanks was maybe so dead set on go rescuing Ace. And he did get there a little bit late, but remember, it was Kaido that kind of hampered that operation. If it wasn't for Kaido stopping Shanks, then Shanks might have gotten there way earlier and might have saved him because he's like, oh, I have my little brother out there. It's weird, right? But yeah, it does also bring up the question, like, where the hell were Rayleigh and Gabon and everybody else when all that shit was going on? We know Rayleigh was just kind of chilling out at Sabaody, drinking and watching the whole war on the big screen. Gabon was either in Elbaf with Wrigley. Okay, that's fair. that's fair. Gabon is like, okay, I hear Ace, Roger's son, is gonna be executed at Marineford. Gotta get my axes. Time to go save the day. Ripley walks out in sexy lingerie. It's like, hey, Yasan, and then Gabon had to make a decision at that point. He made his decision. But now, okay, to be fair, we don't know the whole thing here. We just know that, Garp told him some stuff about Ace. We don't even know if Gabon knew the guy's name, you know, if he knew Ace's name. He might have just said, yeah, Roger had a son, bye, you know. But still, having that information, keeping track of pirates in the world when Ace comes to prominence. Ace was an extremely prominent pirate. He was offered a fucking warlord position at some point. He had a bounty of like 515, or was it 550 million? I mean, he was a big deal. Even before he joined the Whitebeard Pirates as the 2nd Division Commander, Ace was a big deal. So, like, you know, I feel like Gabon knowing that, okay, Roger had a son, let me take a look at this wanted poster here. Portkus D. Ace. Wait, Ace was the name of Roger's sword, and he kind of looks like Roger. I know Roger has a son, and he looks like... Yeah, that's him, right? If there's anybody that's gonna be Roger's son, it's gonna be that guy, right? So there's some questions there, but it is interesting that Shanks did in fact know about that. Alright, so with that being said, Shanks also says that, oh, he's got Roger's blood flowing through him. He might just become the next Pirate King. And Gabon brings up something here, and actually I'm really happy with the way that Gabon presents this. He's like, you know the title is not hereditary, right? You know, it's like the title of Pirate King, Kaizoku Oni, is not just going to be passed down from father to son, nor should it be like how the way that should go, right? And Gabon even goes on to say that most burdened with high expectations fail to reach the top. You know, the idea that Roger was like, "Hi there, Rayleigh. I'm going to have a son, and he's going to be the one to find find the One Piece. Yarg, I be king of the pirates, Goldie Roger, and he's gonna be as well. You know, now, Ace definitely did not like his dad very much. Ace did not care for Roger, and he wanted to go out to sea to be a pirate in his own way. He still wanted to be a pirate, but he wanted to be his own pirate, right? He didn't want to be hampered with the expectations of Roger or anything like that, right? And, you know, I assume he achieved that. You know, I feel like he himself achieved that. Then he had another goal when he met Whitebeard, to make Whitebeard the king of the pirates, which he authoritatively did not achieve that. Sorry, Ace, but, you know. Anyway, he's kind of basically just setting it up that, like, hey, just because Ace was the son of Roger does not mean Ace was destined to be the Pirate King, or even he should have been the Pirate King, right? It's about what you want to do. Did Ace want to be the Pirate King? Hell no, he absolutely did not want to be the Pirate King. He wanted to make Whitebeard the Pirate King. Meanwhile, we have Luffy. Luffy's dream is to be the Pirate King. So it should be someone that wants the title, not someone that's just passed through it like a king to the prince or some shit like that, right? So I actually really like that line of dialogue from Gabon there, right? Shanks disagrees. He's like, I think things are more interesting that way, the way they are there. And so they continue their conversation. Now we cut back over to Oust Castle, which I hear just means West Castle, so I'll just call it that. I'm a little bit on the fence on the naming scheme of all the different villages and locations in Elbaf. For one thing, they're really easy to remember. It's just the Hunter Village, the Artisan Village, the Alcohol Village, West Village, West Castle, and, you know, that makes it super easy whenever I do the Geography is Everything video for this after Elbaf wraps. But, like, in the meantime, I'm like, okay, yeah, but you could have had some cool, like, Nordic names to throw in there, too, but whatever. At any rate, we cut over to the castle, and this is a panel directly taken from Chapter 1152. It's the panel outside of the castle, the establishing shot, where we have Loki arriving from the prison. He just jumps. It looks like he just jumps straight from the primordial realm to the sun realm. He just lands right in front of the castle. We also see Elder Jarl arriving in a cloud canoe, and they're getting there. And then they're walking into the castle, and we cut to the foyer of the audience chamber, where all the guards are, like, lined up outside of the throne room, and they all have, like, their naganatas, their, like, spear weapons, and they're standing at attention, and they're kind of, like, confused. Like, their job is basically just to stand there all day and, like, make sure no one goes into the throne room and welcome in guests and everything. But they're hearing, like, a whole conversation of Harald talking to himself. Well, I guess no, his other guards are in there too, but they're hearing some commotion going on from the throne room, and they're not really sure what's going on. So we cut inside, and remember Harald ordered one of his men to chain him to a pillar. In fact, I thought when he was ran through with all of the spears and the pikes and everything, I thought he was chained to the pillar in a way that, like, maybe you could, like, the silhouette and everything, the way it was situated. But no, the moment that somebody came to, like, okay, King Harald, you wanted these chains? You wanted me to chain you to a pillar? King Harald, and he just gets cut down immediately. And at this point, Harald is still himself. He still has his own thoughts. He's thinking to himself, but his physical body is being controlled. So his body just takes out his sword and just cuts down somebody trying to restrain him, right? It's like, Your Majesty, why did you do that? He was just trying to chain you to the pillar as you ordered. Is this some kind of sick test? You know, what are you doing? Right? And so Harald is standing there, and he's like, he's thinking to himself. He's like, why did I cut that soldier down? My body is moving on its own. Is it because of those orders? It's simply forcing me to, you know, cut down everybody that's in my way. And then you hear Emu's voice in Harald's mind once again. Mobilize the entire nation, Harald. Form an army of giant warriors. And Harald is like, is it really impossible for me to obey these orders? I mean, disobey these orders?
Close
is it gonna mess with my thoughts as...
Shiny charm. So close. Okay, hope for a bug, electric, or fire one for brevity's sake. You're going to. Got actually 3 good Torchics right there. All male though. Take a look at this shiny Patrat. But into the shiny box you go. Yeah, I don't think there is a I know Alolan Persian is much more of a tankier guy. I believe that was all of them to do tonight, yeah. Yeah, and just kind of save up on. So let's go ahead and actually, no. We should, but nah, it's not worth it. Instead, let's work on some alphas. Slash gain some, of course. Work on Just because Mega Evolving will come for both.
Well, will this last forever? His body is under the control of Emu right now. I would throw out the option of just like, why don't you take the sword and just try to cut your damn arm off and see if that does something? I mean, it did something because Shanks lost his arm that had the Shallow Covenant on, and we don't actually know. Maybe Shanks, if he got in the range of Emu, would still be controlled. Like, maybe it doesn't matter if you cut off the arm, but it's a moot point with Harold because his physical body is already locked down. He's kind of exhibiting some, like if you've ever read about locked-in syndrome, where your body could be, like, in a coma or something, but you are still conscious, like, you can't really move, that would be terrifying, and he might be experiencing something like that now, where his body is moving, like, independent of himself, but he's still, like, thinking, like, oh god, when will this end? The country will suffer as long as I live. This body of mine is a walking hazard! That's the name of the album cover of the Rocks Pirates. Walking Hazard! That's cool. Alright, anyway, he remembers when he went to Marineford and ripped off his horns. He remembers meeting Saul. He remembers the speeches. He remembers the school and the kids growing up in a peaceful Elbaf. And he's like, it'll be all for nothing. These last 144 years of mine. Oh, okay, so there we go. Harold is 144 years old. I think he is... Okay, I think he's slightly younger than Dorian Broggy then, if he's 144. Well, he would have been 144 14 years ago, so if he was still alive today, he'd be 158. And yeah, Dorian Broggy are both 160. So yeah, Dorian Broggy are 2 years Harold's senior. So there you go. But yeah, he's been alive for 144 years at this point. He's just like, I understand what I need to do. I have to die now. There's the chapter title right there. Title drop, roll credits. And so he looks to his men and he's like, men, I need you to end me right now. Bring it on. And so, hey, if nothing else, I'll tell you this. Harold's guards do not stand around like a bunch of idiots. You know, they can clearly tell something is off, something is weird. Harold goes on to say, and he begins to just slice them down, too. Like, hurry! Before I'm completely taken over, you must cut me down! And it's like, Your Majesty, what are you saying? Ah! You know, and so they don't sit around like, we can't possibly do that. No, he is, like, massacring the guards right in front of their eyes, okay? As he is shouting for them to stab him. So, this is exactly the point when Loki kicks down the door, when there was like one of those attendants outside, like, yes, Loki, an elder Jarl, the king is expecting you, I must just, and then Loki's just like, screw you, I live here, this is my house. I was born in this castle. And Loki just, kicks the guy into the throne room with his foot, breaks the door down, and then you see Loki and Elder Jarl walking into the audience chamber at the exact moment that, like, 20 guardsmen are just running Harold through with their spears, right? And so Loki, of course, is like, what the hell are you guys doing? And so you see Harold there, but it's a little bit different than what you would have expected. This does not kill Harold. Remember, he has the power of the Silver Package. He has the power of the Deep Sea Covenant. So he now has the immortality of the God's Knights. And this shit isn't going to kill a God's Knight, right? So this is actually really sad, where Harold, after being run through, is like, no, I really am immortal. Like, the acceptance of this, the reality of what immortality actually means. Like, wait a minute. I don't want to take orders from Emu. I know, I'll just end it, and then I don't have to worry about it. Wait a minute, I can't die! Oh, shit! You know, like, Harold really begins to realize the weight of everything now. I am regenerating, and you can tell that, like, with every fiber of his being, he's trying to resist this. He's trying to stop the regeneration, but it is happening independent of his own will at this point. It's like the opposite of hockey or something. I'm regenerating. Please stop this. He's picking up his sword. All of you, run! And so, the sad thing is all of these guards got together to stab him, but now they're all within an arc of his sword. So he just rears back and then just sleeves like a bunch of the guards all around him. All of the spears fall out of Harold, and he just heals right back up. How am I supposed to die now? Someone help me! You know, and so he's just, you know, thinking these things. It's like he's trying to rack his brain, figuring out some way to stop his rampage as Loki and Jarl enter, just shocked and stunned about what's going on. So now, we cut back over to Gabon's house again. We continue the conversation between Shanks and Gabon. So, there's a couple of things with this. Okay, so Shanks is like, I'll cut to the chase. Well, I mean, I showed up and we had a bath together and we chatted about old times and then we had some lingonberry tart, but I'll cut to the chase. All right, Shanks. All right, Harold and I were both bound by the most shallow pact to serve an individual they call the Great One. This is just the Shallow Sea Covenant. And even with this, and so Shanks begins to explain what the Shallow Covenant does and what the Deep Sea Covenant does in greater detail. We don't really learn about the Deep Sea, the Abyssal, or like the Gold package yet, but we at least learn about the Bronze and the Silver package. So when you are branded with the Shallow Covenant, the Bronze package, right? When you are within range of Emu, or I guess maybe within the confines of the Holy Land, I would say, at least that, you are unable to disobey orders. You cannot defy orders at that point, right? When you upgrade to the Silver package, then the eyes of the Great One can see you all over the world, okay? So the upgrading of the symbol does have something to do with range at one, okay? And so Shanks is mentioning, yeah, even with this mark, the power of it when you are within proximity of them, when you are within the Holy Land, it is absolute. And Gabon is like, oh, that's a curious power. I've never seen anything like that before. And so Shanks kind of reminisces, and it's like, yeah, it only meant that me and Harold couldn't have talked freely in the Holy Land. So remember that scene when Shanks and Harold were discussing things? Shanks was pretending to be like, oh, you are a lowly giant. I am more important than you. And then later on, Shanks went to go meet Harold out of the Holy Land on the sea. And that's when Harold is like, I thought I recognized you. You're from the Red Hair Pirates, aren't you? Okay, so this is something I missed a couple of chapters ago, or maybe last chapter. It's been a while. It's been like a 2-week break. But remember the scene where Harold was like, I think I recognize you, Shanks, and Shanks was playing dumb, like, I've never met you before, you stupid giant. And so a lot of people were thinking, oh, what if Harold back in the day met Roger in his crew, back when Shanks was a member of the Roger Pirates when he was young. And so, you know, like, it's been a while, so Harold is like, I think I remember meeting you at one point. No, it wasn't the Roger Pirates, it was the Red Hair Pirates, which does confirm the Red Hair Pirates, yes, according to the timeline, should exist at this point 14 years ago. So yeah, Shanks left Roger's crew, went to Logtown, witnessed the execution, asked Buggy to join him. Buggy declined. Shanks leaves, goes to the East Blue, travels around the East. He was already there at Logtown. Meets Yasopp, begins to form the Red Hair crew, and then at some point leaves the Red Hair crew to go into Marijois, to infiltrate Marijois, I would say. This is not like him just abandoning his life. Obviously, Shanks is still the same guy we always knew. Or is he? Is he Shamrock? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, the Red Hair Pirates with like Lucky Roo and Yasopp and Ben Beckman, all of at least the core crew, have to exist at this time because, like, it is very shortly after this, like a couple of years after this, when, or I guess actually a year after this, when the Red Force docks at Fuchsia and stays there for a whole year. And then, you know, 2 years from now, when Luffy is 7, is when he eats the Gumu Gumu no Mi, right? And so yeah, the Red Hair crew have to exist at this point. They're probably waiting on standby somewhere, or maybe they're in Elbaf too with Shanks at this point, but maybe they're at the dock or at that tavern or something. Not really sure about that. But anyway, yeah. So Harold knew about Shanks prior to this. I knew it. You're from the Red Hair Pirates, aren't you? The way he says that kind of implies he's never maybe met the Red Hair Pirates before. Maybe he's just read about them. Because remember, his job as, you know, a servant of the government was to go out and just, you know, kill all these pirate crews. I wonder which pirate crews the government was sending him after. Were they sending him after, like, Yonko level crews? Or crews like commanders of Yonko? Or, like, people? Because maybe they were like, like, yes, go and exterminate the red hair crew, but he obviously didn't do that. But he did know about them because they were pretty infamous at this point in the world, right? So, Shanks goes on to say, Harold probably would be happy to join the God's Knights. I got the hell out of there, you know, when I could, because Shanks knew that, like, okay, if I get the upgraded tattoo, if I get the Deep Sea Covenant, I'm not going to be able to just escape their eyes. You know, I can kind of get away with the Shallow Covenant. I can at least leave Marijois and they won't be able to manipulate me. But Harold would probably be happy to do that because, you know, he wants to be a Knight of God. If he agrees, he'd have to enter into an even deeper covenant. And Gabon, kind of strangely, it might just be a translation thing, is like, is that a problem?
You could keep daydreaming about McDonald's, or you could order McDelivery and be eating McDonald's. Something like that.
At participating McDonald's, delivery prices may be higher than at restaurants.
Business owners, you are the unsung heroes of America. You have courage. You risk everything.
Using
and
an
you
Ariat.
make it happen. We at Patriot Software applaud you.
Is that a problem, Gabon? Yes, I would think it would be. Shanks is over here talking about, yeah, you know, there's like this great one that's like this shadow ruler of the entire world that marks us with this brand, this covenant of the devil to not permit us to disobey their orders. And now Harold is going to enter into an even deeper covenant. So that's a problem. I'm like, yes, I would say so. Right? Okay. So he's like, yes. The covenant of a full God's Knight blesses them with inhuman strength and immortality. They can also conjure this thing called the Abyss Pentagram, which looks really sick, and it allows you to travel vast distances. It's like a fast travel for the latter half of the series. But anyway, in exchange for all, here's the rub. The Great One's voice can reach them anywhere, anytime. And so disobedience becomes totally impossible, even if you're far away. The Great One can control you. See this full depiction of a God's Knight, like losing an arm and having it grow back, and Emu's eyes, fire, and the Abyss Pentagram, and as Shanks is explaining this whole system to Gabon, Harold would be fully under their thumb if he enters into a deeper covenant. Those guys have boundless appetites for greed. I can't see them honoring their word. So, at least Shanks has a little bit of the awareness of like, yeah, I don't think the world government's gonna be, all that trusting, and I don't think that they're going to give Harold everything that he wants. So he says to Gabon, I really don't think Harold should join. Okay. So, remember way back when this flashback started in 1152, Shanks actually told Gabon, like, I'm here to meet Harold. I got something I need to talk to him about. It's really important. And he explains to Gabon everything here. Like, yeah, there's this, like, satanic covenant and everything like that, and you're not going to be able to disobey, and you're going to be able to be controlled anywhere you are in the world. I better warn Harold about this immediately. He's in the country, right? Yeah, he's at the castle. Okay, well, as soon as we're done having a bath, catching up on old times, talking about Roger's son, having a lingonberry tart, chatting it up with Ripley, and playing some chess, then we'll head over to West Castle, and we'll finally have a conversation with the guy. Also, we see a flashback with Shanks meeting Harold, apparently after their interaction at Marijois. They have their interaction in the Holy Land. Then they leave, and we see Harold talking to Shanks freely. Shanks even says, it meant we could only talk more plainly when we were away from the Holy Land, which they were, where Shanks tells him, hey Harold, sorry about all that at Marijois. Hi, I'm Shanks, I'm a member of the Red Hair Pirates. And Harold is like, oh yeah, I remember you. Okay, why didn't Shanks just tell Harold about the Covenant shit then? Maybe he didn't know about it. Okay, maybe he was in the process of learning about all this shit when he was at Marijois. Maybe he didn't know about the whole Covenant at that point. Still, maybe back when they only had the shallow covenants, maybe Shanks could have been like, hey Harold, I'm still learning about these Covenant things. I know you think they're really cool and badass. If they ever offer you a further contract, maybe you should turn that down. I'm not 100% sure on all the things they do yet, but I really think there's something weird and creepy going on with the world government. They're making us sign contracts to somebody called the Great One. Maybe you should be a little bit hesitant on that. Now, would Harold have listened? He didn't listen to Rox now, did he? So I don't think he would have listened to Shanks. I'm just saying that, like, it seems that Shanks is like, this is a matter of urgency. Like, I need to meet Harold as soon as possible to let him know not to get the Covenant. Well, this has already happened, like, several days prior to this. Like, Harold got the Covenant way back at Marijois and then sailed with his men all the way back to Elbaf. So, like, this has been at least a few weeks, if not, a few days, if not weeks, since the Covenant has already been in place. Harold had time to get all the way back to Elbaf, give a whole speech to his countrymen, go into the castle, draw a pentagram on the floor, and here we are right now, right? So, it seems like it's a level of urgency, but Shanks isn't really living up to that urgency is what I'm saying, right? Okay. At that exact moment,
I think what I'm gonna do here before I'm done recording is try to finish this one and then finish one of these research quickly. Or just go chill on 3 benches. To unlock the Shrine of Charm.
Almost perfectly timed, like, I need to go tell Harold not to trust the world government. Boom! Giant, ominous explosion of hockey starts blasting out of West Castle. We cut back in. Loki and Harold are embroiled in Mortal Kombat! Dun 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 dun. Okay, so Loki's got his big hammer. It's not Ragnir, but he's got a big hammer. He's clashing with Harold with his sword. And he's like, knock it off, old man! What's going on here? Man, where's all this strength coming from? And how come you survived all those stab wounds? What's going on? Right? Even Jarl takes out his sword. He's like, what happened to you, Harold? Come back to your senses, man. He draws his sword. All guards report to the throne room now. Everybody in the foyer is mobilizing. Remember, way back at the beginning of this flashback, it was mentioned that, Loki murdered like 113 guards, I think it was. I think it was like 113 guards were massacred, and then plus Harold were killed in the massacre at West Castle by Loki. That was the story, at least, Hyrudin told, because Hyrudin was not here. But yeah, so all the guards start mobilizing. Jarl and Loki together manage to, like, grapple Harold, both of his arms, and manage to, like, throw him to the ground and then crack his head against a pillar. Man, wouldn't that be crazy if that's all it was to, like, knock away Emu's influence? Just hit their head against a hard wall hard enough, and then eventually they're like, all right, I'm back. You know, just do a hard reset really quick. Yeah, no. Explain yourself, Harold. What happened? All right. And so Harold is there, and he's just like, Elder Jarl, I've done something unforgivable. My sanity is slipping out of my control. Okay, and this is a moment, I'm gonna go through the monologue here, because this is like the last monologue Harold has before he gets completely taken over by Eve, okay? And, this is what he says. He's like, listen to me, Loki, my son, listen to me. Tell the people of Elbaf what happened here, Loki. Tell them I went insane. Tell them I slaughtered all of the guards. My reputation has been stained with blood, and I trusted the world government. I was so focused on making Elbaf a world government nation. Tell them how I was tricked and I was a fool, and how I ended up in this miserable state. I ended up enslaving our own people as warriors for the government. And Loki's like, talking about how were you tricked? What do you mean, Dad? It's like they never intended to honor their terms from the very start. Well, Harold, at least eventually figured it out. All the guards are listening to this too. It's not just Loki and Jarl. There's a shit ton of guards in this room as well that are all hearing this. And so, Elder Jarl, Loki must be the one to eat the legendary devil fruit, and then he must use it to kill me. There is no other option at this point. No one else can beat me with these godly powers. Only Loki with the devil fruit could possibly hope to pull it off. I am the worst king in Elbaf history. And so he's like shouting, pleading with his son, please take my life, Loki, and then elevate yourself as a hero, as the one that slayed the corrupt king of Elbaf. And he even says, I don't even care how I'm remembered. That's not important. All that matters, with tears in his eyes, all that matters is the future of our country, Loki. Please. Now, Loki and Harald do not have the best relationship. I wouldn't say Loki hates Harald. In fact, there were even some moments when Harald was like tucking Loki into bed and things like, maybe Dad does care about me. So I think Loki understands that Harald cares about him. It's just that Harald was very busy, you know, traveling the seas and making allies with member nations and tearing off his own horns and subjugating himself to the world government. And so Loki's kind of like estranged from his father. But even at this moment, when Harald is telling him all this and he's tears in his face, and Loki knows how much the peace of Elbaf matters to Harald. It's like the only thing that he cares about, you know? And so Loki is just like, you'd go that far, would you? And so Loki understands what this means, and he does get up, and he does run to go get the devil fruit. All right, I like this scene between them because Loki doesn't argue or tell him, like, you were a shitty dad or anything like that. He's just like, yeah, you do suck. You know, you betrayed Rox, and Rox told you to... You know, he didn't say anything like that. He doesn't have any time for blame. He just realizes the gravity of the situation, and he goes and follows his father's last wishes, okay? He tells him, I'm counting on you, Loki.
More
You're
butter.
the only one that can make
Bud.
things right now. Now, this whole plan that Harald has, you know, I'm honestly not that upset about it. Now, this is clearly not what happened. You know, tell the people of Elbaf that their beloved king went insane one day and slaughtered all of the guards. By the way, Loki's king now. That obviously doesn't work, and that's not going to make sense to the people because all they know is that Loki is an arsonist that goes around attacking villages and killing people and setting animals loose in the towns. And then Harald is like their most beloved, benevolent king. So this isn't gonna work, but that's not what this is about right now. Harald is literally out of ideas. He's at the end of his rope in more ways than one. He literally has no other options. He's immortal. He can't stop this. He's feeling his sanity slipping away by the moment. So he's like, literally, all I can try to do is tell them...
Just gather more power. You could say mega evolving. I mean, I proved it. I beat you multiple times already, Tommy. Naveen turned into a Scrafty. Oh wait, no. It's gonna force me into this air, isn't it? So a big nothing burger there. Just see what we're dealing with here. Spoink. Ooh, Charcadet. Indeedy. Oh, now we're dealing with places that have two. Can have two types. Jigglypuff. Toriko and Grovyle. Sadly, Grass is done. And Psychic is done, okay. Let us find a bench. Oh, that's just a... I never knew that, okay. the benches. That's a Char Cadet, so that's gonna give us armor, I bet. And there we go, level 50. Wrong button. So really, there's no reason to do this now other than... Yeah. But... Shiny charm away! So let's just get this talk done with, and then we'll probably call it a session there. Dark suits me, hence my dark suit. That was a joke, right? I could just imagine the... Add more money that you owe via the loan? Okay, but yeah, we'll call it a night there. We finally got our shiny charm. Charm after you know we actually have a whole line be shiny now. But yeah, we also got some important things done. Some more surveys, some more of the decks, hyperspace decks, which I'll probably look up how many boxes I need. Yeah, I'm gonna save this and call it there. Bye.